favorite podcast about current events, news, politics, and more. We have a pretty fun week. Some pretty serious cases have developed this week. We're going to be covering Epstein, Diddy, Candace, some Texas flooding, Elon's new political party. A lot of crazy fun stuff going on. Not super big, geopolitical news like the Iran-Israel ceasefire seems to be holding, so that's great. But still, so it's going to be a fun episode. So let's get started with the Diddy updates. You want to go on that, Levi?
I'll give a pretty quick intro to it. It seems like Diddy is pretty much going free.
On all the major charges.
Yeah, the two big ones that could have locked him up, racketeering and trafficking, he is not going to get punished. So
he's just getting convicted of the 2 counts of the transportation for prostitution, which, according to Grok's interpretation of court proceedings, just has to do with him transporting women for prostitution for himself.
Now, I wonder if they're constituting his girlfriends at the time.
Yeah, one of them was his girlfriend, which is really weird. Like, how exactly do you transport your girlfriend for prostitution?
And now she's a prostitute? Yeah.
Like, was he paying his girlfriend?
Was he pimping her out to his friends at the party?
That's not the allegations. The allegations in court seem to be just that it was for personal consumption, just like the Epstein we're getting to as well.
Well, his girlfriend did report that at freak-offs, she would be told to lay down and have multiple dudes piss on her and in her mouth and things like that. So she wasn't just for Diddy. No.
I guess according to some of her out-of-state testimony, then I guess pre-trial essentially, because in the trial it's saying that there wasn't really any allegations that he had done anything beyond himself for his own pleasure.
I don't think that they considered that to be prostitution, because I don't think that Diddy was paying his girlfriend. I think that's more of like a forcible coercion, but that was all just kind of dodged.
So maybe just a Diddy girlfriend requirement is like you have to be okay by getting pissed on by my friends.
I think there's kind of precedents
to
set.
Shit beat out of you.
Yes, exactly.
And dragged through a hotel publicly.
Yeah.
Your hair. Yeah.
Okay.
And for those of us who don't remember that.
Wow, you found that fast.
It must be on his favorites.
I
didn't see anything there.
No, I didn't get to see it either. I know what this video is, but
there's Sir Sean Diddy Combs.
That just showed him.
I know. I'm sorry. It's a strangely edited video.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Getting some court readings.
Documents here. Yep.
She aggressively got beat. Like it was. Yeah, she's laying open, stomped.
Dragged.
She looked like she was already half unconscious when he started dragging her.
So. Yeah, I think he had already, like, when they got out of the elevator, he like slammed her into the wall or something and like hit her in the face, then came back and stomped her.
Basically, the stuff they try to accuse Andrew Tate of being, like, this guy is for real. For real.
Yes.
Yeah, a real misogynist who believes in beating women and treating
debasing them.
Treating them as objects.
Yeah.
From my read on Diddy, he treats people as a useful way to get other things to happen. I don't think that he's particularly misogynistic as much as he knows that no girl is going to be able to do anything back to him. I think that he would treat pretty much anybody that way if he thought he could.
Like maybe Bieber.
Yeah, like a lot of teenage boys, most likely.
I saw the video clips of him talking to Bieber about the car and how if you like hang tight with me, you're gonna get to like drive my car if I like mentor you and stuff. And it was all really weird. And then especially like Bieber mentioned that he had his temps and he was able to drive, and Diddy just instantly brushed it off and was like, "No, we gotta wait."
Made it into this ultimatum.
But no, he said, "Oh, we gotta wait till you're 16 for that." Like basically like inferring that like before you get to enjoy my big toys, you have to be to the age of consent. So that's kind of what the undertones were. Because
creepy nonetheless for a child.
Definitely creepy for like a 14, 15-year-old or something. But the fact that he was like saying he had to wait till he was 16 seems kind of suspicious.
And these are things he was willing to say on camera. I wonder what kind of things he was saying.
And then he also did say stuff about like he was going to be his like dad essentially, or like I'm going to be
not
like
only
the guardian.
Like a guardian. Yeah.
I heard he wasn't legally his guardian, but he was like claiming that he was, and it was.
Now don't forget, a lot of people came to Diddy's defense.
Did Bieber come to his defense, or did he make no comment?
Nope. He's been, since this whole trial began, he's been kind of on this whole as people would say now, crash out phase, right? Shaving the head, lashing out at paparazzi,
Like Britney
posting,
Spears stuff.
being publicly mean to his wife. That's kind of
The
created just
paparazzi
local
has been
memes.
horribly mean to him though. Like they were like photographing him nude on beaches.
The whole
and
thing
stuff.
with the
like,
paparazzi,
they've
here's
been terrible.
the thing with paparazzi, when I've realized. They feed off what you give them. It's like a fire. You can't live if you don't breathe into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know
I
how many
mean,
celebrities move in silence? How many times has Eminem crashed on the paparazzis? He does it. You never see him. You know what I mean?
So I think the paparazzi is a tool that is utilizable. I think that sometimes
people call the
producers,
paparazzi.
yeah,
Steve-O has admitted to
they'll
calling them
get,
on
like,
himself.
Yeah.
It's all theater.
You can have the paparazzi.
I don't think it's
stuck on
there could
you.
be an involuntary paparazzi. They can
Perhaps.
try to stalk.
It could
you
be
and follow
directed
you
at him.
around
It could be
everywhere
someone
you go.
directing it towards him.
I don't think that Justin Bieber wants the paparazzi. I think that there's some like producers and
I can see
whatnot
that.
are
Also,
like,
I think
yo,
his
there's a bounty for every good picture you get of him. Anything we're paying out big. Like the bigger the
Hound
story, go hound this man.
And
make him give you news.
his career really took off when people liked what he was singing on YouTube, and he started touring, and his touring did amazingly well. He was selling out every city he went to, very large venues. So it seems like, I'm not saying there weren't other players involved, but his success seemed very like made in the sense of that he didn't need the paparazzi to do that.
Like back in the day,
I think
Justin
he
Bieber
really
was a
blew up on
nobody.
YouTube on his own. I think it was
Ellen found him when I think that his top video had like 5,000 hits or something. She brought him on, and then his whole entire career was just made from that show.
I'll have to fact check that. I definitely haven't heard that aspect. But you want
Back to Diddy.
Yeah, you have anything else you want to cover about Diddy?
I mean, well, it's just I wanted you guys to know that as much as we feel like this has been very split, it's been divisive. People have been defending him. A big portion of the community has been on his side. The same with R. Kelly.
Do you mean the music industry? Who are you saying? I don't know really anybody that's on Diddy's side.
This is what happens. It happened with R. Kelly. It happened with OJ. The black community rallies to famous black people, and no matter how much evidence may be mounted against them, they rally.
Okay.
And here they are now, full degeneracy on display, celebrations outside the courthouse after the verdicts, dousing each other in baby oil. Can't make this up.
Of the baby oil dousing.
Cannot make this up. Here's the bottle just off camera being held at the over here.
Okay.
I mean, just absolute insanity.
Freak offs are back.
The freak offs are back. I mean, literally, it just continues.
Huh.
It's also interesting that Ellen was involved with Bieber's up and coming though, because like
and a good friend with Diddy.
Yeah.
A very good friend
and
with Diddy.
Ellen also has just been known for being like one of the treating her employees worse than hardly anyone else in the industry, and maybe being predatory towards some women. So
if you want to get a little conspiratorial, having a set that resembled Epstein Island.
A lot of weird stuff.
A lot of weird stuff.
So it just
her comments during the famous 2014, and then it was the Met Gala or the Music Grammy Awards. Remember that speech about pizza? To donate for pizza. Yeah, we played that clip before.
Also, a bit of weird stuff with Usher, because wasn't Usher also one of the people who had been, handled by Diddy a bit?
A good friend of his too. Yeah,
I think even mentored by him allegedly and all that. And then Usher also brought in Bieber. So I guess apparently Bieber already had an album that was doing fairly well before Ellen brought him on the show. So Ellen didn't make it.
He had a whole album.
But Usher apparently was promoting him when he had like around 70,000 views on YouTube, which is not very many. So it seems like Usher kind of just found this very young, like 12-year-old white kid on YouTube, and then started hanging out with him in person and promoting him. I don't know what was going on.
Hanging out with. Who knows? I don't know.
They seem to be hanging out. Maybe this kid will do butt stuff with me. Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Weird circles.
Yeah. And weird circles. He ended
but
up
we're
in the circle with
this
Diddy.
is definitely allegations. We don't have any proof that Usher did anything.
No,
like this.
but we know there's connections between Usher and Diddy.
There's just strange
it's not surprising that
circumstances.
Bieber ended up in the circle with Diddy.
I've heard more than one male in the music industry like openly talking on podcasts with people about how Diddy wants to go up your bum And you just got to tell him no, because he's going to keep asking, he's going to keep pushing, he's going to offer you money, he wants it. You just got to be like, no, bro.
This reminds me of the person
Not me.
that you heard about on YouTube or whatever, the guy who thought that was everything in life and better than air.
Yeah, they called him the booty warrior.
Oh.
And like if he wanted it, he just...
For anyone who wants a deterrent for prison, it's a video you can look up on YouTube. But yeah, there are people out there that think that way, and perhaps Diddy is one of them.
Yeah, and if Diddy is one of them and has that much power at the time, it's scary.
It is scary.
Or maybe somebody like Kevin Spacey or whatever.
Let's just try to transfer to a segue over here, but this is the same week Diddy getting off that they're now announcing that the Epstein files. Let's not forget, I mean, we all have powerful friends.
That is Donald Trump with
The
Diddy
himself. More than once.
But also
more than once.
Trump
recently and long ago.
Trump was a very big celebrity, though, who has pictures with all
Yeah,
kinds
yeah,
of
yeah,
people who
yeah,
aren't
yeah. Blah, blah,
accused of
blah, blah,
anything.
blah, blah, blah.
Trump
Now-
has pictures with
Epstein
a
too.
lot of
Yeah.
Yep, Epstein too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
He has a lot of pictures
And
of Epstein.
speaking of Epstein, there are no files. They don't exist. Thank you very much. Good night. Good night, good night, everyone.
They did not say there were no Epstein files. They said there
They
was
do
no
not
Epstein
exist.
client list.
There's no Epstein client list. That's right.
And even that seems like it may be a misrepresentation.
Didn't they have it on a freaking PowerPoint?
I thought they came out and
Misrepresenting
danced with fucking binders. They all came out
But
with
the
their little
binders
Jewish
were-
stars and danced with the fucking binders.
That was the client, or not the client files. That was the Epstein files.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And let's remember that from the records, he was accused of trafficking girls for his own use with like his partner Griswold. But
Griswold?
Maxwell.
however you want to pronounce it.
Lizzie Maxwell.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
she
call her
has a
Griswold.
strange name.
But
Griswold, yeah, from fucking National Lampoon.
Maxwell is probably the best way.
all right, we can go with Maxwell. But yes, he was accused in the court of trafficking for his own use. So,
Alright, so
according to solid evidence that's been put forward in court that's verifiable, there was never any evidence that there was a client.
alright, so according to their Bureau of Investigation, this is the document that they've released. The FBI and DOJ have concluded that there were absolutely nothing you need to know about. They personally watched over 300 gigabytes of child pornography.
Yeah. Wow. There were no clients.
Apparently,
huh?
videos. No one can be identified in all this data. None
Doesn't
of it.
seem like very good blackmail material if nobody can be identified.
Do you really think that's
They
the
can be
case, dude?
identified.
Oh my god, come on, please, Adam.
So
Here's the situation.
Before, because I'm on your guys' side really here, but I have to
You're not on
give
Adam's
this,
side.
give this the credit that it could deserve.
My side is just let's look at some real evidence.
Here's the evidence. We
wait.
investigated ourselves and we found ourselves innocent. That's what happened. That is what happened.
What may
the
have
DOJ under
happened?
multiple presidents.
Yeah. What
Yes,
may have
from different
happened
parties.
here?
Yep, they all kissed the wall.
Guys!
Literally kissed that fucking wall.
Give me a minute. What may have happened here is that the FBI released the disclaimer that they are not allowed to show the clients list because the clients have ruled against, like, put out there that we do not want any of this to be allowed to be seen by the public.
This is based on what? Just your random guessing? Or
No.
there's evidence of the FBI saying that there is a client list that they're not allowed to release. What evidence do you
They're
have?
not allowed to release any of the evidence itself because the victims have requested not to. Essentially,
I don't believe the victims would not.
See, it's not quite that simple because under serious enough felonies, the state will pick up the charges even if the victims don't want them to. It's involuntary. The state will just
that's
pick it
what
up.
this could mean is that the state is not done with any charges. It just cannot show a client list.
No, this based on the review issued July 7th, 2025, stating that their review of Jeffrey Epstein's files found no evidence of an incriminating client list or blackmail of prominent individuals.
I also have to mention that
Concluded an exhaustive review of Epstein's investigative
An
files.
exhaustive
Yeah.
review.
No such list
Images,
exists.
videos, and victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over tens of thousands downloaded videos and images of illegal child sex abuse materials and other pornography. Teams of Asians analysis, attorneys and privacy and civil libertarians experts combed through the digital documents evidence with the aim of providing as much information as possible, protecting the victims. I just can't imagine nothing came of this.
I mean, what evidence do we have in the first place?
They're admitting to videos of kids being raped, but they're not going to say who's doing it. They're not going to release.
Did they say he just didn't download the videos off the internet? Is there any evidence that he was involved in making any of the videos?
What do you think? As an island, he was charged with child sex crimes before.
That
he has a precedent of it.
I'm not saying he's a good guy, and I'm not saying he's not a pedophile. I'm just saying that.
And why has there been so much red tape about this? It's been so fucking ridiculous.
I don't think there's been that much red tape.
There absolutely has.
Yeah.
I think the problem
it's been called a fucking conspiracy theory. Then fucking Trump's second administration came around and he said he's going to release it and be totally transparent. And then fucking Cash Patel said that.
And instead of releasing it, they went in to bury it.
And the Cash Patel came out and surprisingly was like, "Oh no, he actually did kill himself. Yeah, for sure." Yeah. And
so
that's completely unbelievable.
I thought both of those dudes were gonna be like.
You were really
insiders way too much.
You were really pushing for Cash. I remember.
He's not even American, man. Like what?
Fucking Pajit.
Like the type of people
he
that
wrote
Elon
the book American Gangsters who
wrote a book. I trust him even less.
Oh my god!
It was calling out some hardcore shit that the deep state did. Like
maybe it was just trying to hit the deep state against the part of it that he didn't like.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just trying to help his own power base.
Yeah, well, that's what it's looking like. It has to be at this point. I don't see any way around it.
And my point about Epstein, which is what I would like just to be able to make a fair approach at it, is that people targeted this guy and potentially made up all these conspiracy theories about him because he had pictures with big celebrities. So he was the perfect guy to make up all the conspiracies about because he had a private island. How many other celebrities have private islands?
Not that many.
No, that's not necessarily true. A lot of them own islands.
I want to know the percentage of the celebrities that actually own private islands.
But the point is they
You're
found
trying to act like there's no evidence against
you always deflect. So do you believe there's no list, right? Is that what you're saying? You believe there's no list. Okay? You're believing that. There's no list.
What do you think his role was? If his role was blackmailing, why would there be a list of people that he trafficked people
Because
for?
DJ Vance said, seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. But DJ Vance said it.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
All right.
Seriously.
So,
assuming that there is one, but he wasn't privy to that private information. When was
he
that?
wouldn't be?
That was when he was running for election, right? Before he was privy to that information.
Actually, I think this was sent. This, I believe, was on that fucking...
You know that
when was that recorded?
Jeffrey Epstein brought 17 different girls to Bill Clinton at the White House.
And weren't they all over age?
He brought him 17 girls. I don't know if they were over or under age. I do not know. But that's a lot of... He has to be involved in something. That's a strange act.
I mean, if you're the type of person who want to be surrounded by a lot of women and you have money to be surrounded by a lot of women, then you will be surrounded by a lot of women.
And he brings them to private meetings of Bill Clinton at the White House.
I'm not saying Clinton's a great guy either. I'm not a fan of Clinton.
Why is Maxwell in jail?
For helping him do what he did for himself is the narrative. Your point about the conspiracy people want to say that he's was a trafficker who this list of people that he sold child prostitutes to for money or whatever. There's no hard evidence put forward by anyone ever that he sold anything to any wealthy people.
So I don't think that
there's just evidence that people went to his islands for parties and flew on his jets.
Yeah, I don't really think that he was making much money.
So I don't
think that was his role.
So if the list is real, then what is
his role was to ascertain blackmail. He was good at networking. He knew a bit about money. He was good with people, and his role was to make connections and facilitate getting leverage over important. And that's definitely people like Leslie Wexner gave him hundreds of millions of dollars and bought him any house he wanted anywhere to help him with his mission. Like, you want it? I got you.
I think you might be a bit exaggerated with how much he gave him, but he did give him some money. I bought him a house, but hundreds of millions sounds like a gross exaggeration.
Over the course of Epstein's career, I don't think that's an over-exaggeration. Epstein was effectively a billionaire. Now, he didn't have, I don't know, too many people that were giving him as much money as Leslie Wexner.
But also, there's conspiratorial people on the internet who always want to make a conspiracy theory out of anything, and they found somebody who was connected to elites who got busted for child pornography, essentially, or trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
Sure. No, the first time I think he was busted for pornography.
Maxwell is in jail for sex trafficking with Epstein. That's what she's in jail for.
That may be correct, yeah. But the point is,
To
is
who?
that
To who?
all of this claims of what he had done on the island and at these parties all seem
There's
to be.
women saying it. There's women saying they were raped over and over again 3 times a day
How many
with other women.
And what, none of them were willing to come forward in court?
Yeah, the women fucking come out.
They
Yeah,
were
they were.
systematically killed
Yeah.
off since the 80s.
Years in my own prison for what he, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island.
Okay, I mean, it could be true, but it could also just be her trying to get some money from the estate. I don't know. I don't know.
I
her
don't think she's gonna
backstory.
get
I'm
shit.
not.
I think she's gonna fucking get suicided. That's what's gonna happen. Something happened before. There's a precedent of that being said. A girl saying,
There's also.
"I will not commit suicide," and then she commits suicide.
Okay, there also
Suzanne
are
Humphrey
precedents
Grinnell.
of people coming after money
Who's
after
the-
estates, like they did to Michael Jackson.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about a very specific case here. You're deflecting again.
No, I'm not deflecting.
You are
I'm
deflecting.
just saying that.
You do it a lot.
Why did this woman not come forward in the court and present
She's scared
her
of being
evidence?
killed.
But she's not that scared of being
These are-
killed, or she wouldn't be doing a
This is a
public
very
interview.
this is very different. This is a guy who's friends with presidents and
Okay, and this
princes
woman just came
and-
public there, so obviously whatever risk she had taken was taken.
True. Look what her got her. Nothing.
Yeah, she's probably on a list now. Get to it when they get to it.
I'm just saying, on the devil's advocate side, this was all wild conspiracy theories, and now the government says that it's all wild conspiracy theories, and you're saying that obviously proves the government is behind it, when it could just prove that it was wild conspiracy theories, and when they actually look at the evidence, there is none.
My defense was not that it's wild conspiracy theories. Epstein has a huge history of people around him that have said very similar things to that. Like,
Epstein had
over the course of this,
Epstein had fucking
You don't
paintings in
think-
his
you
house.
don't
Where's
think
the
that-
paintings of Epstein's
So,
house?
where
Like
the,
these ones with fucking tranny fucking. This is Bill Clinton and fucking Bush sitting over a fucking pile of
okay, so
Jengas.
his art, private art, is proof of something.
that
This is very strange. It's
I'm just
very
saying that
territorial.
the
He's
black.
hanging out with he's rubbing elbows.
The
with big
blackmail
people,
enough
making
could
jokes.
just be that people came to his island for parties, and then he got found out to be involved in human trafficking. That alone would be enough blackmail against those
I thought the
people
FBI
if he
raided
wanted
his
it.
place and got all this video evidence they were going to review.
Yeah.
He's videotaping people. Why would he be doing that, Adam?
What-
If it's just
was
parties, why is he reporting them?
Where's the proof that he was videotaping people?
They've
I
seen so much fucking video evidence, I thought, when they fucking raided his place.
Blackmail videos of
They're
him
never
doing
going to say it was blackmail videos, Adam. They're just going to say footage. They're not going to say it was celebrities raping children. They're just going to say it was 300 terabytes of child porn.
anything.
They're gonna gloss
Just went
over it
from
very
gigabytes to
vaguely.
terabytes, but okay.
Whatever the fuck it was. I'm sorry, I forgot. Whatever they're going to gloss over it. They're not going to say it was the Prince of Wales raping a child or Bill Clinton raping a child. They're going to say it was 300 gigabytes of child porn that we reviewed and there was nothing found.
All of it could certainly
Yeah.
be true, but it would be nice to see at least some physical evidence.
Do you think
that any of it is
if
true.
they saw the Prince of Wales raping a child, they would then turn around and tell us about it, or they fucking cover it up?
It's possible if they're not happy with UK at the moment that they would release it. Yeah.
I think they would
Is
cover it up.
America really that happy with UK at the moment? I'm not sure. I guess they're still an ally, so.
Now you're making the same claim like, oh, why didn't Biden just release it then and try to smear Trump? Because he was on it too, because he's implicated too, because they're all implicated, because they're all child fuckers. Or they're
Yeah,
not. They're all just
it
implicated
is-
in some other way. By the
think of
same
it
big
as
boss,
a
as Israel.
weapon of mass destruction. It is a mutually assured destruction type of game. If they take Trump down, he takes all of them down because he has the same type of blackmail. He owned Adnan Khashoggi's yacht, and he owned the Plaza Hotel, and he messed around on the Lolita Express, and a lot of
No, he
pieces
did not.
Of
He was
assets.
never on the Lolita Express. Stop
He
spreading
fucking
lies.
leased it.
No, they chartered it for one flight, and it wasn't the Lolita Express. It was another plane that was briefly used by Epstein.
They're sharing planes.
Yeah, they
No,
were.
the Lolita Express was destroyed. Trump never owned it or flew or never owned it as the campaign.
Never owned it.
And also
I'm
the
pretty
other
sure he
plane,
leased it.
his campaign, their plane broke
That's
down, and
not
they leased
the
another
point.
plane for one time.
The point is that they've all
And also,
had-
all yachts have cameras. So you saying that he owned
Tom
Khashoggi's yacht is no evidence that he owned a blackmail yacht.
Was the DOJ caught cutting 60 seconds from the newly released Epstein 10-hour jail cell tape?
Well, they said that
DOJ
the
was
cameras
caught
were
cutting
corrupted from the
60
get-go.
seconds.
They said that the file, there was always time missing due to the corruption of the hard drives and such.
How convenient.
How
Extremely convenient.
I would say that that's circumstantially suspicious.
I mean, this is supposed to be one of the most secure prisons. Why would
I
they
think
have
everything
of
about
all
how
the
he-
places to not have camera footage fuck up? It's going to be a place
I
like
think
that.
everything related to Epstein's death was suspicious. including
I'm glad
the
we can at least agree on that.
the
Fuck.
morgue picture of his nose not looking right.
A bunch of
The
shit.
fact that nobody was allowed to
The way
publicly
the neck
examine
was
the body.
broken after like upon other people reviewing it,
Also,
they're
the
like,
fact
that's
that he
not how
was
people kill
alone in a
themselves.
cell when he wasn't supposed to be alone in a
Yeah.
cell. His guards taking time off for like not doing enough rounds. Yeah. Many very strange circumstances.
The first time Epstein was tried, he had I think it was Acosta, maybe that was his. It was like a district judge in Florida, and this guy came away saying he was not a. Somebody had told him that Epstein was to be left alone because he's intelligence. So he just kind of had
According to what sources?
the guy who was the judge.
The judge said that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some evidence of that.
Okay.
I do know that there was a bit of a snafu with his case where supposedly he was offered a plea deal that they thought was unlawful. So then they were like thinking about revoking his plea deal because it was too permissive. And yet, I guess it was mostly allowed to stay, but he still had to be put on probation and still face consequences. So he wasn't let off scot-free, but people were saying that his plea deal was too good and a little unusual. So. Do you guys think that Epstein is still alive?
I think that that's very possible. I think that Epstein might well have been taken out of that jail into witness protection, and he's still living a pretty cushy life.
So just got some more plastic surgery and
No,
living
like
life.
he could literally just be on a different island that nobody is allowed to go to. Just chilling, still having people fly in and out all the time. Still probably
Things
like,
brought to him.
Seems like people might
Supplies and
recognize him though if he just had new people flown in and out, but might work for
I'm not
a
sure
period of
that
time.
it would be like new people. I think that he would just be a protected asset for the most part.
Seems like a lot of risk for very little reward, but
It does.
possible.
I'm
If
not.
maybe-
That's not my base case. Is that they killed him and took his ass out of the prison cell.
So if they killed him,
you
then
got
why
yourself
was it?
known. Your name should never been known.
If they killed him, then why A, would have they done it not before he went to jail, and B, why would there be suspicion about his body not matching? If they killed him, then his body would match. So why would the nose not match?
I think
Their own
it's
sloppy
because they do shit like this like hundreds of times a year, and so they just get sloppy with it. Most
So they would
people are just
bother
way under
swapping
the
out
radar.
his body even though they murdered him? That doesn't make any sense. That sounds way too complicated for no benefit.
I'm not saying that they swapped out the body. I'm saying that they. Look,
Well, the whole point about the nose suspicion was that the body on the stretcher coming out of the jail was not.
Suspicion.
It was a pretty big conspiracy theory as far as the fact that his body didn't look
him
to match.
being alive. That's
Yeah,
not-
sure. What
that
about you?
conspiracy comes into play if I think that he really is on an island.
I'd probably assume he's just dead.
Okay, so he was killed in the jail cell, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that there's any real difference in the way I would perceive the world, though, whether he is alive or dead.
So do you think he wouldn't actively be doing any more blackmail? He's totally retired.
I think that he's just put aside. So
Okay.
if that were the case,
Well, yeah, I mean, if he can't go out making public appearances if he got found dead by the legal system.
He's never
so-
really like a known guy, though, either.
he operated more like in intelligence as opposed to Diddy. who
Officially,
operated
where
Nobody
more
ever heard of him until
Officially,
he
where
died
did his
in
money
jail.
come from? Officially, where did his
Managing money and such.
for Lex Wexner, right?
He was
doing
given multiple people. He had like a
tax
firm.
work. Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
So he provided financial services.
His money
Which afforded
came from a
him
lot of places,
chateaus
so
in multiple countries.
Oh, you can
an
make
island.
great money in
Okay.
financial services. It's a very high paid
Hundreds of
profession.
millions of dollars.
If you have
at
the right
least.
clients, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was managing money for billionaires.
Yeah, some of the
Man-
richest Zionist Jews out there. Yeah, 100%.
I
That he was.
can't say you're wrong about that.
No, you
I
can't.
do know one of the large people he was managing money for was Jewish.
There's a whole lot of evidence that Victoria's Secret was
Had a secret?
trafficking children. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were there models specifically?
What was the other one,
owned
too?
By Leslie Wexner. That's the
Abercrombie
It's been
and
sold
Fitch.
off, not owned
Yeah.
by him anymore.
Abercrombie
But
Fitch
was-
was eating
was
the
it?
boys, and Victoria's Secret was eating the girls.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they both had children lines too, probably. So.
100%.
Well, I don't know about Victoria's
So
Secret.
Leslie
Abercrombie
Wexner,
definitely.
the owner of these companies, that he also, by the way, gave Jeffrey Epstein control to hire and fire people. At least one of the two. I think that it was both.
He was also seen at fucking modeling shows and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of times. along with Trump.
Yeah, I mean, Trump had his own beauty pageants, and he
Yeah.
might have had junior beauty pageants as well. I'm not sure.
I believe
Trafficking,
Yeah, he had
Trafficking
like the
friends.
Miss Universe and probably the Junior Miss Universe. So,
trafficking friends.
and we do know how he handles women when it comes to grabbing them by the pussy. So his words, not mine.
And we know that Trump was aware of Epstein's taste in women and that he liked him young.
This was also words by Trump.
Yep.
Strange things to say about somebody. I think he said on
He
the
knows him
younger side.
intimately.
18 could still be
It's
considered
not
on
what
the
he
younger
said. He
side.
said he likes him young.
But I
That's
mean,
what he
relative
said.
to his own age, that could still mean adult.
Yeah, I love how you deflect.
That's not deflecting. It's just
It's
that
as
people-
reliable as the
the
sunrise.
guy's like in his mid-40s or something. Later.
Yes, he's gonna talk
It's how they would
pedophilically, of
approach it
course.
in court.
I don't know when he made those comments.
You make such a good lawyer or politician.
Trump. I don't think Trump. I mean, Trump obviously has a big ego and cares about himself, but he seems overall like decent enough for America. I don't have that much.
Good friends with Epstein. Good friends with Diddy. 100%.
I don't think there's evidence he was good friends with
I
Epstein.
think there
No.
was.
He was never to the
are-
island.
Use his
lot of-
planes.
together.
Multiple pictures together. He knows his sexual preference. They were seen hanging out at parties, smiling, laughing, arm in arm.
Most of his
Trump
older
is-
pictures.
Trump does that.
Say
with
what you
people,
want.
though. Trump likes to get his contacts, and he's a networker.
100%.
So,
Imagine the network he found there.
he created Mar-a-Lago, and so he built a pretty impressive fucking network as his own business model, essentially.
Yeah, his business model was great, getting people to pay like $1 million to join his golf club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Good business model.
To
Yeah.
get a
That way you get
seat
to
at the
network with
table
other
at
people.
Mar-a-Lago.
And
it was exclusive
Buried his
to,
wife
like,
on a
600
fucking
people.
golf course.
Trump did?
One of his exes on a golf course to give it some kind of tax exemption.
I didn't know any of his exes had died.
His wife or something.
Gronk is saying the last time Trump regularly spent time with Epstein was likely in the early 2000s. So this is something that's like over 2 decades ago. So he hasn't been
Hasn't
hanging out
raped
with
children in a long time.
Trump had a falling out with Jeffrey Epstein before he got in trouble the first time, I believe.
So once he got public, he had to step away.
No, before it got
Okay.
public, there were a lot of people that continued to have relations and build new relations with
Probably
Jeffrey
Clinton
Epstein
kept hanging out
after.
with him after.
Yeah.
I know Trump. The
Those
story.
Trump just did it publicly.
The story that I heard is that Trump mainly cut ties with Epstein. After
publicly.
they had a big fiasco with him trying to bid for a property that Trump wanted, which rubbed Trump the wrong way. And then also he allegedly hit on the front desk staff at his hotel, at his resort, and Epstein got banned from his resort.
Yeah, I feel like these are just things you say in retrospept after someone gets busted.
No, it
for
seemed like he
child.
was actually banned from the resort.
I bet he banned him. Sure, I bet he did. I bet he put it on paper afterwards.
No,
After
I
he
think it
found out
was
for crimes.
before he got found. I can verify some of this. You guys can keep going.
Yeah, verify when he was banned from his hotel. I'm very curious about that. Next topic.
Wait.
This is a
Before
pretty
we-
big topic.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know where I was about to go with that. Trump and Epstein, I think if you wanted to play the conspiracy card here, this could just be me coping, but I think this is how like the QAnon types would think. The storm is coming. You could say that this is 4D chess and that Trump has actually had a legit beef with Jeffrey Epstein for quite a while now. And that's why people tried to kill Trump before he got in, because he's got the same type of blackmail on others that can blow up the whole system. So he's can't really be attacked too hard. He
So
might
it's
just
like-
have to accept
It's
that
like a
this isn't
nuclear
gonna come out.
blackmail deal.
Yeah, this
Mutually
just,
assured destruction.
this cannot come out. And so he's going to keep working to do what he's going to do to try to build
Make
a good
Israel a better
presidency.
place.
make a greater America and a greater Israel. Yeah.
So from what I was reading about this, allegedly he made inappropriate advances towards a teenage girl, allegedly the daughter of one of the members at a Mar-a-Lago club around 2004, 2005, when he was allegedly banned from the resort. Not officially, they didn't give a date, but they did say that he had been banned from the resort, and it may have been informal at first and inconsistently enforced. But basically,
So he might have showed back up.
ties were getting cut around 2004, 2005, and he wasn't first publicly charged until 2019. It's saying.
I thought that his first case was in the mid 2000s.
2011 or 12, something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe even earlier than that. Yeah, 2009.
2009 sounds right.
Yeah, the 2019 did sound a little late. That sounds more like when, the time that he died.
Yeah. Before next week, I really would like to put together a bit of a case for how many people have been outwardly saying that Jeffrey Epstein and his network are pedophiles. And see, that's not even the thing that I think that Jeffrey Epstein's main role was. I want to come back to that.
Oh, you guys are saying 2005? He had a first criminal case in Palm Beach, Florida.
2005.
Triggered by the parents' report that Epstein had molested their 14-year-old daughter at the Palm Beach mansion, which led to charges filed in 2006. FBI involvement. And then a plea deal in 2008. Pleaded guilty to 2 state charges: solicitation of prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
So he got caught. Trump kind of had to back off publicly.
He actually got a little bit of a sentence there. He got like 13 months, I think, of soft arrests.
Yeah, served 13 months with work release.
Yeah.
And was required to register as a sex offender, which I'm guessing after that you think he would have had to have a lot less interactions with elites.
But no.
I don't think he had much interactions with Trump after that, because it seemed
Not
like,
publicly.
okay, then probably not at all.
Probably not at all.
Probably not, yeah.
What's the benefit to Trump for risking his reputation?
He's going to become president.
Huh?
He became president.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what evidence do you have that he hung out with him after he was known to be problematic?
Not evidence. I'm just saying, you're just so sure of it. That's it.
I'm not saying
He
that's
made it
it.
for
I'm just saying,
Mar-a-Lago,
like,
and
what
that's it.
evidence do you have counter? It just sounds
Well,
like
this isn't coming
hunches or
out.
something.
Oh, there you go. This isn't coming out.
Well, yeah, I would say that's a hunch.
Trump's administration has dragged their feet on releasing this information, kind of directly lied about how when it was going to be released. So,
And now it doesn't exist at all.
I don't think that many of them ever confirmed that there was a list. I know you had that clip of Vance saying that they should release the list, but I don't
Nothing's
even know.
going to come out. That's
At this
they're
point, it
betting
seems
on
like
it.
nothing is
They're
going to come
literally
out.
betting on
There's
the
there's
sites.
nothing to come out.
At this point, that's what it looks like they're saying. And this is
Diddy gets
open.
off. But Diddy gets off the same week.
But I mean,
that-
what do you want them
Bro,
to What do you
yeah.
want them to release at this point?
Seriously.
Doesn't even matter. It just sets a precedent, doesn't it?
It means that nobody's
It'll
going
be
to get
news of
prosecuted.
yesteryear. It'll get fucking memory hold. They can literally say, nothing. It was nothing. Don't even worry about it, and that's it.
So what
We
would
move on.
What would you
Yeah.
do if you were in charge?
I guess I would not fuck kids, and I would release anyone that was fucking kids. I would have them publicly executed. That's what I would do.
What I'm saying, as far as disclosure goes, you think they did a bad job. What would you do?
If Donald
If you
Trump,
were in- if you were in
I
charge
were
of the
in his
FBI,
position, bro, you have to sacrifice somebody. Like, even if I am super duper good friends with all of these child diddlers out there, if I want my face on fucking Mount Rushmore, then I'm chopping about 3 of your heads off publicly.
Okay.
Like, let's do something. Show that something was done. And then people will probably calm down and not care that much about the rest of the list. They'll be like, we saw some justice! Yay!
Fair enough. I guess
Demand
it's going
things,
to
you demand
be
things,
a little
you demand
tricky
things,
if
changes.
Prince Andrews or something is one of the ones that has to have his head chopped off. That would be a little tricky, but
If
It would never
there's hundreds of people to choose from, then you can choose one that's a little less dramatic.
so you think hundreds of people were going there and
Yeah,
raping kids at the island?
Yeah.
Over the course of decades?
Yeah.
Maybe. It would be nice if there was more
I think that
conspiracy
was the
theories
point
about it.
of the island. Was
I think
to bring
Alex Jones has been
high-powered
saying
people
about it
there
for a
and
long time.
capture
I don't think
blackmail.
I don't think you'd have that many politicians wanting to go there if that was really what was going on. I don't
Once
think
you're
all-
part of the club, you don't have to worry about being caught
It's
with
a-
more blackmail.
It's an island.
You get it through duplicitous means the first time.
But there's a lot of
You're
other
hanging out with an
islands.
eccentric billionaire on an island.
Yeah.
That's
I think
Probably
if it
fucking
was
love it,
too
too.
obvious, you wouldn't be able to get them to go
It's
there.
not too
They wouldn't
obvious.
want
It's an island.
No, it's not.
An island in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
People
and
like-
people have
people like Stephen
cameras and
Hawking go out
smartphones
there.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Just because it's an island doesn't mean it's totally anonymous. It's not.
The early
Yeah.
90s.
You-
And Alex
you
Jones
don't-
was talking about it. And everyone called him crazy.
Some people don't let you go on islands unless you give up your phones.
I guess. Do we have evidence that that was what was going on there?
So it never happened. So it's totally
Yeah, it wiped that thought off
I'm
the
not saying it
table
was a great
because we
island.
don't
I'm just
have
saying
evidence.
at this point it's totally unsubstantiated. Claim with
There's
so little
literally
physical
no evidence at all from the island because the FBI won't show us because there's tens of thousands of hours of child pornography on them.
that no one can be identified in. Not a single time.
Yeah, that no one can be identified. There is no client list.
I mean, the island was up for sale. It seemed like anyone could have bought it.
They pulled the hard drives out, and they've told us that there were tens of thousands of hours of child
They're not saying it was
pornography.
recorded. They never said it was recorded there.
Oh, dude, that's what they pulled off of the island, Adam. What other video are they going to be looking
No,
at?
it was just stuff you saved from like Pornhub, dude. That's all it was.
I don't know. I'm just saying. It doesn't seem like there's much evidence, and it's a shame because it would be
No,
good
they
for
just
those.
spent hours
took
watching
all of the
300
evidence.
million rights of
They
hours.
took it all.
They're reviewing it. They reviewed it. Nothing was found.
Yeah.
They reviewed themselves and found themselves innocent.
Yeah.
That's what
I
happened.
prefer that it was a more independent investigation as well, but we just don't have much to go on right now. It'd be nice if Trump had at least released enough that there could be some
we don't get what we vote for, do we? We're not getting a greater America. There's not getting transparency.
People have always said that all the politicians
Change
are
doesn't
fake
come
and
from
all.
voting. Change comes from like
could
killing the people that
argue
don't give you
That
change.
the BBB has done some pretty cool things. Like, there's some slick stuff in there.
What's it done?
The big beautiful bill,
Yeah.
the one that is the largest increase in our debt ceiling ever, right? Adding $5 trillion to our national debt.
Yep. It is just the debt ceiling. That's not actually saying that we're spending that money, but
I think it's estimated that it's going to cost that over like 10 years or whatever. So
I think that all of the estimates that try to show that are hyped up for the news, and looking at all of the tax money that they're not going to steal from Americans because these tax cuts are being pushed forward. And that's most of that money. It's like at least $3.5 trillion.
Well, I'm definitely down for cutting taxes on Americans, though it always seems like
it's not
the
even
taxes.
a new cut. It's just a permanency of the old cut.
That was part of it. The
Yeah,
other part of
yeah.
it was like some of the new cuts, like the no taxes on tips and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just temporary.
But it's not unlimited. It's like got like a $25,000 cap, and you also can't make more than $150,000 a year. But that seems pretty reasonable.
But it's temporary. It's not permanent.
I think it has the mechanisms to become permanent.
Or it's not right now. As of right now, that's not a permanent bill. It's temporary.
I could not confirm or deny.
Yeah, pretty sure it lasts like 5 years. So it's for like 5 years.
Well, I mean, most like the way that they do these budget bills is like they're setting the budget for a certain amount of time. That's the way they were able to get it through Congress without a supermajority. Is that it's like a reconciliation bill. It's essentially only allowed to affect government spending over a proposed amount of time. So you'd have to have a lot more support from Congress to make it permanent. But Trump did at least get it through. It was something he ran on that seems to have been delivered. There's also still
I'm
not
a big fan
proof
of all of
who
the
it's going to apply
changes
to.
Medicaid. A lot of people are throwing fits about Medicaid.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to touch Medicaid, and Medicaid did seem to have to get touched. I think it was just because
It's smart ways. They're preventing pharmacies from being able to overcharge and have that just go through, because apparently that was happening. And then they're
Medicare fraud is horrible. If you look into it, it's a slippery slope.
getting dead people off, or people that are just still using social security numbers of other people that do qualify. They're making it so in order to qualify for some medical benefits, you have to work, volunteer, or go to school 20 hours a week on average, like 80 hours over the course
You
of a
actually
month.
have to do something.
Yeah, you can't just
Work
be an
requirements.
unproductive member of society.
Taking away hundreds of thousands of dollars from the taxpayers with your weird obesity conditions.
And that does have limits if you are legitimately disabled or elderly. I think
I heard
that
another
you get
interesting
your
cap.
benefits either way.
They're capping medical student debt to $200,000, which apparently some people are complaining about this because like you can't go to med school for less than $200,000, and it's like, well, I wonder whose fault that is. And it's like, oh, well, you can get a predatory private loan to exceed that and spend more than $200,000 on medical school, but those companies aren't gonna want to give you loans if you don't qualify for them and if they're not guaranteed by the government. So I think that part, some people are bitching about it now, but obviously it needed to happen. Like the reason why college is so expensive is in large part due to the fact that the government guarantees grants. Loans. There's some grants too, but guarantees loans regardless of your financial eligibility to let you rack up huge amounts of student debt. And then the colleges can just keep raising the tuition because the government will just keep loaning you more money. And let's roll in overpriced food programs and overpriced housing and charge you like $3,000 a month to live in our shitty dorm.
And now everyone can go to school because if you can't pay for it yourself, the government can chip in or just provide you the loan that you
And you should
can't
just go anyways
go
because it's an
bankrupt
experience. And
and
even
get
if
rid
you don't know what you want to do, you should just go to college and figure it out once you're enrolled.
Yeah.
That's been you're going to be a useless underpaid person if you don't do that. You're going to work at McDonald's for the rest of your life unless you take on all this stupid debt that you can't get rid of in bankruptcy, which that part I think is good because it's like you shouldn't have the taxpayer footing your bill because you wanted to waste tons of money at college and now you want to, I don't want to pay all that money I agreed to pay. No. Yeah. You should pay it. I think bankruptcy in general is weird that you can just rack up tons of debt and then just get out of it scot-free. It's a pretty weird. Sometimes they restructure it lower, but it's pretty weird. It seems like you should be responsible for your debt.
I'm not a fan of bankruptcy, honestly.
Have you declared bankruptcy?
No.
It does. If you wound up in the position where you needed it, man, it could be a lifesaver.
But boy, did you make some poor decisions to get there.
And how does that actually work? Like, where does the debt go?
The companies have to write off a bunch of it. Some of it they restructure at a lower rate, but they usually just have to write off a lot of it.
It's just strange that.
So it gets subsidized. It's basically like fancy, complicated money printing. And that's the thing about inflation. Like Tom Billiard loves to carry on about, but it steals from everyone. And if you want to steal from everyone, you just spend more money than you take in as a government because that's going to lead to debt and that's going to lead to inflation, and it's the best way of stealing money.
Yeah,
it's even better than taxing the rich because if for being bad for the average person is any money that you have saved up is going to become less valuable. Rich people, they own assets that appreciate, like rent keeps going up, but if you're poor, you get paid in dollars. You get paid hourly. So that doesn't keep up with the inflation. You just get screwed over.
Getting robbed every single day. You don't even know it. Most people think it's a good thing. They're like, 3% inflation. That's what we need.
Well, the taxes are pretty high in Europe, too. So I think Candace was saying something about the guy who's in charge of fucking people over on taxes in France. Apparently Trump got involved, too.
Yeah. Donald Trump called Candace Owens.
Weird.
He told Candace, like, hey, Candace.
How recently?
This was actually a few months back. She just
recently
brought it up now. Candace just decided to tell.
That she received a personal call from Donald J. Trump.
Or make it up.
She had got
I don't trust
call. She had gotten a call from somebody else in the office earlier that day, and then there had been some back and forth, and then Trump just called her. Like, yo, basically what Trump said is I'm trying to get this deal done to end the Ukraine war, and Macron came here personally, and he just really asked me to get you, Candace Owens, to stop talking about Brigitte Macron, okay?
His tranny wife.
His tranny wife that might also be his dad. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
No, almost certain.
The dude's
I
definitely
think it's a little
dude,
more complicated than that, but
it's not. Anywho, Donald Trump asked Candace Owens that to stop the Ukraine war. That was the hope.
To stop the Ukraine war?
Yeah. Macron had wanted Donald Trump as
what
a favor.
What was France going to do to stop the Ukraine war?
Just being part of the group deal, I think is sort of he was holding things up. He was dragging his feet on whatever his end needed to be. It's a complicated deal.
So shut Candace Owens up.
And just specifically on that one topic.
And
not necessarily forever.
Right, like not like
she
end her life
to
or something
have
like
agreed to it for a limited time. Because now she's telling the story, and this happened a couple of months ago. And clearly the Ukraine war has not ended. So,
and she did not stop talking about.
She did. For like the last 2 months, she didn't really say too much.
She had a whole expose about it.
Yeah.
No, she took that down or anything.
No, this was like 4 days after she finished that series. And she got the call.
Perfect timing, guys.
Yeah, waited until it was over.
So hence the war didn't stop.
No, the war did not stop. And now Candace has talked about it.
What are the chances that Trump's administration even talks about this, confirms it, or they're just not? Like the same thing with Elon. He said something crazy, I don't give a shit.
Also, what if somebody was just trolling her and just called her with a deepfake Trump?
Seems complicated, but
complicated not for people with those resources. If Macron
doesn't she know people personally within Trump's administration and stuff? You should verify.
Would you bother?
Yeah.
Why? Why would she have any reason to
It's your
think she's
job to be
fake?
a reporter.
I mean, she's a notable figure. It's possible that Trump would call her.
She's a notable figure. It's possible people would prank call her quite often.
But to be able to do it well, you probably have to be better funded.
AI is not that expensive these days.
For real time stuff like that, it's a lot trickier.
Really?
I don't think any of us could pull it off. Just to fake Trump call somebody.
People do it on the internet through fucking
But how do you know
modern warfare shit all the time. It's like a soundboard, but it's still convincing. Pre-recorded, ready to go fucking responses. It's not that
That'd
hard.
be an awful plan, but it's possible, I guess. Yeah.
YouTubers do it all the time. It turns out pretty well. It's usually for comedy, but
But what if you ask what if Candace asks a complicated question though back to Trump? Then the whole thing just falls apart unless Trump's got a real canned answer to get back. Like, that's none of your business.
No, she kind of explained the whole conversation. It sounded like a real conversation to me. I'm pretty sure that this all happened. Trump likes talking to people too. Seems like he calls people for this and that.
Candace
I don't
Owens
think
seems
that-
like a
But
pretty
I feel like
controversial
Trump's not the
figure
type of
to
person who
call.
calls people to ask for favors very much. He more of like dictates. Like, you're gonna stop
Trump
talking
makes
about this.
deals. No.
I don't even think he would be calling like Tucker Carlson, dude.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't even have a computer. Like, he's very kind of like likes doing things in person a lot, and he won't call like Putin because it's not practical to go see him. But
Are you basing it off the statements he made about his son's laptop? He has just no idea what he's talking about when it comes to technology.
no, I heard like Trump doesn't like use a computer. I'm pretty sure kind of like Putin or whatever.
He's just
Like,
an old man.
He's called multiple people's families when people die. I know that for sure.
He knows how to be handed a telephone and talk into it.
Yeah.
I doubt he's even dialing the fucking thing.
Probably not. I think his time's probably too valuable for
It's
that.
just like, give me this person.
Yeah,
get this
get
person
them on the
called.
phone.
Yeah, get them on the phone. Yeah, exactly. It's not like they can't find the number. You know what I mean? Like,
You talked with Candace, it's time I talked. Get her on the phone.
Dude, if he really wanted to be like, bring Candace right here. Set her down at my feet. Like, yeah, fucking sir.
Should we move on to the Texas storm?
Yeah, that got a little silly.
it's a little sad, but yeah.
a little sad.
People drowning.
Jeez, what a horrible transition, guys. Yeah, people are drowning in Texas.
A lot of orphans probably drowned.
Do you have any government conspiracies that they caused the weather with lasers or something and are trying to flood out Texas?
Wow.
I think
Levi's always got some weather conspiracy. Just give him a chance.
All right.
I think I've actually
curious.
started to get a bit of a handle on how they're controlling the weather. I think it's through the NextRad towers. They do local hotspots where they can pump radiation into the air,
Okay.
essentially ionizing radiation that creates a high pressure zone. Then they can use these high pressure zones to move or hold storms. That's like the fundamental layer of, and they can use the NextRad towers are the radar detecting towers. They're the ones that cast out their beams to see where the rain
really,
is
really big?
at any given time.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of them around the United States, which is
What
how
do they
we
look
have
like?
good radar.
Like weather radar, you mean?
We should pull up a picture of
Yeah,
the NextRad
definitely.
tower.
That's really interesting, though. Then how does that go into controlling like bodies of water and floods, though? I don't understand.
This was a major flood just because the storm sat in one spot and dumped all of its water for like 10 hours.
see.
Which hurricanes have been
Okay.
known to do for decades. But
We've probably been able to do this so basically since we put up our first radar.
Yeah, I know we've been
technology.
testing weather
Got more
manipulation
power.
since.
But radar
like,
towers, the way they
Vietnam
generally
before.
work is they radiate a specific amount of energy constantly as they spin around 360 degrees, like, many times per minute.
You don't think that they could have a little extra functionality built in?
And they could. You can also have passive radars as well, but the active are probably more common for like the Doppler.
Hold those up to the.
Yeah. You want to just give us a little? So these are weather.
They're NextRad towers.
Now, what are the official? What's the official claim that what they do? What are they supposed to do?
They detect what storms are. Like
Okay.
if you look at a weather radar and you see the green and then the yellow.
Right. All the forecasting, and this is what gathers the data for that.
Yes.
What evidence is there that these even have enough power that they can affect the weather? Like, the sky is so huge; it would take so many watts to.
I feel like I don't see
Basically-
that many of them around. You think there have to be a lot of
Yeah,
them?
there are very few.
Like the amount of if there was the amount of
There-
the 5G
There's
towers,
probably
maybe.
like less than one per every 50 miles. They have large radiuses, but you can see it on. There's this chick that does weather viewing every day, and you can see on her radars the actual bubble around where these Nexrad towers are.
And it affects the weather
Consistent.
visually.
You need a good eye for it. You have to look at it. You have to watch it. But
Understand
yeah,
the data and the patterns.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you've
Like
looked
most
at weather
weather.
radar
Right.
much before in your life, you're much more likely to be able to see it than if you're just
A layman.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting, but regardless, people died. Sorry for the lives that were lost. I heard there
A
were
lot
20,
of missing children.
yeah, 20 children.
20 some missing girls.
Didn't
That
hear
even
girls,
happened.
but
Yeah, now I remember a few years ago there was really, really bad floodings in Texas. I saw pictures of white-capped waves on the highway.
that's crazy.
And they had a friend of mine who I currently work with now.
was that
He-
Halloween?
I believe so, yeah. And a friend of mine that I work with now currently, he was there in that state and had to be rescued by the National Guard. They
Wow.
waited too long. They did not. They kept underestimating it. Woke up one morning with the water just citywide up to their fucking like mid-body.
Trying to suck you back into the ocean. Bro.
And
I think Hurricane Helene was one of the other cases that, like you mentioned, where a storm just went and sat, parked itself, and just
Dumped.
rained.
for days and weeks maybe.
Well, those storms are so
Long
big, you
time.
kind of have to have something to help push them. If there isn't the right weather patterns around them and they're kind of getting boxed in by the other weather, then they can't just sit until they dissipate.
Yeah, that's what happens. But
So you're saying maybe that's because of the radars, which doesn't make a ton of sense for why they would want to flood out a city. But
the want is not a thing that I am postulating. I don't have a good who. I don't have a good why. I don't have much of an understanding other than like
the motivations behind like the Hawaii fires were a little more like they want this land and they wanted this land for a long time. I could see a little more theories behind it. This is a little more
which the how they were getting that land part was very obscure and technical. And also Hawaii has like laws that help have houses that foreigners can't buy, so it's not a great
right.
place
It's
to
kind of
see some-
protected.
Yeah, it's kind of protected, like Native American land, but not as much.
I guess if I had to
No,
establish
Native
a
American
why,
land, like nobody's allowed to buy land on a reservation. Like they don't even own their own houses. Like
no,
it's
that's
complicated.
true.
Yeah.
Reservation.
they can't
land
take
is-
loans against it. Like they own a house, but they can't take a loan against it because it can't be bought by a non-Native American.
It is still
So just like
reserved
strictly
land.
passed down.
They can like sell them, I think, internally to another Native American, but because you can't sell them to a non-Native American, no bank will give you a loan against your house.
What
So they-
percentage of Native American constitutes you as Native American? Over 50%.
What was that?
What percentage of Native American do you have to be then for it to constitute
Oh, I
you
think
being
you
a Native American?
Generally have to be like at least
Over
25%.
Okay.
You might have rights if you were born like in a reservation hospital though.
Not if you're a complete foreigner, I don't think. If you just happen to be born in their hospital, I don't think you get jack shit. It's very like race based.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But back on topic,
Yeah.
this also somehow transitions into Bob. Oh no, not Bob Dylan. We got the Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Bob
Sorry, we
Dylan.
are mixing up our bobs. So
Yeah.
that led to some confusion.
I had
Apparently
sent
there's
you the clip on Twitter if you wanna.
Yeah, for sure. You want to give us some
Let the
context while I
audience
pull
hear
that
what
up?
this
It'll be
is.
pretty
So the
fast.
context is this was a concert that was done
In the UK.
Do we know where?
Britain?
Maybe okay.
I don't know.
Britain sounds good. That sounds like a good guess. Maybe Bristol or something.
Glastonbury.
Okay. Sure. Never heard
What
of
a
that
name.
town, but we'll
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Not where Tate's from.
Nope.
Free.
A well-known chant.
Have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF.
Inciting violence.
That's what it sounds like. I don't know if they're actually doing any violence though. It's kind of a chance.
Calling death to a military,
Yeah.
paramilitary or terrorist group, in my mind.
But a very ethnically concentrated group, like the military, essentially of Israel, right?
The military of Israel.
I mean, I it's distasteful. I mean, the Israelis might have, or the head of Israel has been doing some strange, evil-like
Currently
things.
committing a genocide, yeah.
Hit or miss on the genocide, but yeah, currently committing something that's sometimes a genocide. And
They're going to force everyone, the last remaining Palestinians, into the rubble of Rafah, but okay, yeah. Another open-air prison.
They
Continue.
shoot to keep them moving.
Yep.
Up the tight
When it's
thing
time for
lines,
aid to
fences.
come, they put them in fences and in cages.
It's at least an ethnic cleansing. So they're not
100%.
just outright shooting them all in the face, but some of them are getting shot.
Still calling for the death of one race of people's militaries. It's getting on the edge.
A terrorist group, in my mind. I would have garnered the same amount of hate if he would have said death
But
to Hamas.
would he say the same thing before the operation had started? I don't know. I guess it depends on what he thought of the Israelis and the government and such.
I guess, but this whole event has really brought the whole world's eyes to it. And they've since learned the history of it, and the hatred has only grown. And I can understand that.
How much did you know about the? Did you even know what the IDF was 3 years ago?
No, man. I remember when October 7th first broke, me and another friend of ours, McNeil, were hanging out, and we were just reading up on it. And how we were reading up on it, we then realized that the dates were of the next day. So the events that we were reading about had happened the next calendar day ahead of ours just because of how the time schedule works. We're like, whoa, this is... Like, it was like we were reading about it on October 6th.
What?
You know what I mean? Like, and it was crazy because like it was the most like live I've ever like been in on something, like reading it like that happening. It was fucking wild.
Wild.
Yeah, like reading like, oh wow, this commander just died or whatever, like, or this motherfucker just died, and like it's like happening like technically the next day, like tomorrow.
The concert getting?
Yeah. It was fucking wild though. And then and then we kept following it as it pursued, but it was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. On Israel topics and stuff.
But yeah.
I'm kind of
brought
curious.
my
Do you
eyes to
believe
it.
that Hamas had no role in October 7th whatsoever?
What the hell? Of course they did. There's an attack they carried out. A
thought-
very obvious one.
Oh, I thought Levi was sure that it
Who
was
gave
all
them
this-
who supplied them the weapons and the means to do so?
Okay, but they
Okay.
agreed to participate in a strike that was going to bring
Yeah,
terror
Adam.
upon
Look,
the-
Adam. When you have a
Agreed.
pressure
What
cooker
They
for
bombed
so
them
long,
for like decades and make them
an open
feed
air
them,
prison for so
then they
long,
supply
what
them
do you
with
expect
weapons.
them to do?
and then they just gather the
I think
intel
you have
about what
everything
they're going to do.
backwards, but yeah.
Everything backwards?
What Hamas had bombed Israel for decades, and overall, like
Because they would get bombed
Hamas-
by
Because they
Israel.
came there and
yeah,
committed
Israel
the
made,
fucking
Israel
apartheid.
made like targeted strikes against Hamas in Gaza. We're talking about before the war, and then Hamas just constantly peppered Israel with inaccurate rockets for like decades.
Are we talking before or
And
after the
after
Nakba?
they would get attacked,
No, the
usually.
Nakba. When they came and killed a bunch of people maliciously. And forced them out of their homes and stole their
Overall,
homes and land.
Hamas is
No.
Hamas is
The
fired way
Nakba
more
was before that. It was before Hamas existed.
but
The,
Hamas
is,
had
the
fired way
Israeli
more
state
rockets
was
than
built upon terrorists and terroristic acts that they've even since banned. They've then since condemned the people who founded Israel because of the horrible fucking shit they did. But here they are doing it
My
again.
point is, this all could have
Okay.
turned out a lot different if the Hamas people had agreed to.
My question is to you: is the people who've suffered a Holocaust, does that give them the right to commit one themselves?
If the Gazan people supported a government that wanted to genocide the Israelis, then like karma is karma.
When you kill your family and everyone I've ever fucking known, what do you expect me to do? Nothing.
But that's not what had happened initially.
It is what happens every day.
It's
It's
what-
what happens
it's
right
what- it is
now.
what
It's what
happens-
happens every
It
fucking
is what
day.
happened, the reaction of Hamas's actions, and also there was
Hamas
a
reaction was a reaction to the Nakba and to them stealing that land and settling illegally. They committed apartheid and they do it every day. They put them in an open air prison.
What it set
They
this up-
operate on a
what it set this up-
two-tier
they-
justice
the
system
Gazans
there. Try walking through there being a Christian.
The Gazans agreed to a ceasefire in which they had to get rid of Hamas and shut Hamas down, and instead of
Hamas is funded by
just
fucking
listen,
Israel.
Listen to the terms that they agreed to.
Okay.
The Gazans agreed to a ceasefire that involved Hamas being removed from their government and totally shut down. They were going to go after and police Hamas themselves and arrest them. And instead of them removing Hamas from their government, Hamas completely took over their government. So they did the exact opposite of the ceasefire that they had agreed to. And then shit hit the fan when they totally ignored Israel's demands and allowed Hamas to take over their government. And Hamas, I'm sure, wants to genocide Israel. So the people there who had no chance of militarily defeating Israel allowed a group of people to take over their government who wanted to genocide the Israelis. And that's going to lead to obviously you getting
are
genocided.
willing to espouse
That's just
that
what happened.
Hamas
Those are the
wants
facts.
to genocide them, but you won't actually say that the people that are committing the genocide are trying to genocide someone.
No, I
Wow.
didn't say that. I said off and on. It's definitely. I would consider it a genocide when they cut off all food aid. That is a genocide. But
And
they go
then
off and on that. That's why it's very
occasionally bomb
wishy-washy.
them when they do give them food too.
No,
Attract
they were
them to
bombing
a-
something near there, and that's why so few people died. Like 12 people
Yeah.
died in that attack. They were not bombing thousands of people. No. The facts don't align with that at all.
They underreport how many people die.
Oh yeah, they would have any reason to do that. That's so stupid to believe that they would underreport
Yes,
the
of
casualties.
course
It's
they
literally Hamas putting out the numbers. They would have every reason to over-exaggerate to get the world on their side.
You think that the Hamasians themselves have come to get food from these small little pop-ups?
I'm sure everyone was hungry. Yeah.
They're doing some great reporting though. Man,
They're dropping,
I'm just saying,
they're dropping
journalists
500
get
fucking
killed.
pound
I'm just
bombs
saying,
on cafes and shit.
I
with
think
food,
that
with
there was
food-
a public conversation between an Israeli official where the guy asked him about the 108th journalist that had been bombed, and he was like, "Well, duh! If you come in, we have a ban on journalists. We're gonna kill you."
In Gaza?
Around the whole Gazan area for sure.
West Bank,
You're not
Strip,
allowed to report.
Rafah. No,
Yeah.
no
We
reporters
say
are allowed
what
in.
we want people to hear. Nobody hears from them.
If you go in there, we'll kill you.
The
I don't
Israelis,
give a fuck if you say you're a journalist.
The-
You're
the-
fucking dying.
the Israelis are definitely abusive, but that Hamas picked a fight that they couldn't win.
So
and
you think
and
that
they
you're getting
doomed all the people
accurate
by the way.
information
They didn't
from
pick a
Hamas?
fight.
Yeah,
They're
no, I think they probably
Okay.
exaggerated that.
They didn't pick a
No
fight.
fucking way.
They didn't pick
You're
a fight.
Wild
They didn't
for
pick
that
a fight. They came and stole their land, and they're resisting. That's what's happening. They're
They've
resisting.
broken as many
It's been
ceasefires as
generations.
Israel has had.
Oh, that's not true
And
at all.
And
That's not true
and
at all.
Israel was not going to tolerate Hamas running the government on their border. They were never going to tolerate
They're,
that.
oh,
They
they're
have-
not going to tolerate the Palestinians at all. They're just going to kill them indiscriminately. That's what's happening.
No, if they were,
And then when
if
you
they
see
wanted
how
them
the
all dead,
kids
they would be
talk
dead.
about it,
Occasionally
when you
shoot
see
one of
how the children
generals.
talk about it, I can only see one path that it leads down. No fucking shit, they fucking think this way. Duh, we've watched your whole family die from 4. It's like, what the fuck else do you fucking do?
Their whole family hasn't died. With the,
it has. It
not
has.
relative to the overall population. The number of Gazans who have died so far is
You
less
can
than 10%.
you can
Oh,
listen
my
to
God.
If it's
like
a genocide,
support
it's the most
groups.
unsuccessful genocide ever.
You can listen to support groups of kids that have managed to get to a decent spot, and they're talking about how they shot my brother, my mom, and my dad.
Okay, I'm not saying that that's never happened, but overall, as a percentage of the population, less than 10% have died. So it's not a very successful genocide.
I completely, for years and years, since the Nakba, this is basically a second Nakba, multiple massacres, I completely understand why it's happening. It's a complete justified resistance in my mind.
It's a
Totally
slow
justified
genocide.
So what are the goals of the resistance? If you just want to resist to stay alive,
I want
that's
to
one
stay
thing,
in
but
my home. I want to
That
fight
doesn't-
for my land.
if you have people who want to
My
fight,
family's been here for generations, multiple generations.
but do you think Hamas just totally wants left alone and would just be totally happy if they were just left alone? Is
I don't
that
think they
really
have
what
the
want, or do
resources
they
to
want-
become
or
a
do they
world
want to,
I don't
fight?
threat. I don't think they have the resources to become some world crazy terroristic threat. They don't have the resources. They don't. They can't even fight Israel, dude.
Not now.
They're
no.
they're just resisting. They're doing all they fucking can. I've watched them kill my whole family. I'm gonna fucking do something. I'm gonna go and kill some of them. You're
At
fucking
least
right.
Give my best shot.
Give my best shot. Even if it's a rock, I'm gonna fucking throw it. I'm not gonna die lying down.
But what
When you
if-
see the kid, you see the kids talk, it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to fucking react?
I mean, if Israel's offering a real ceasefire, that
There's
would
not. They've
stop
broken
them,
thousands.
both sides have broken them, and the most serious one was broken by Gaza.
But
by
the
allowing
serious
Hamas
one
to
is broken by the one supported by us.
The most serious one was broken by Hamas. By the Gazans allowing Hamas to run their government, which was a horrible decision for the Gazans. I think it could have all been peaceful, and I'm not saying there weren't mistakes made on both sides. There definitely were. Israel's made a ton of overreaches with mostly unarmed people, but it could have been a lot more peaceful.
And you
if
can
Hamas
see them.
wasn't
Now, I
in
mean, since
charge.
they were the war with Iran, we can see them. They can do precision strikes when they want. They don't do that in Gaza.
Yeah, they do, or the casualties would be way higher.
Yeah, they do. Have you seen the pictures of it? Look at the pictures. It's a fucking wasteland.
Yeah, because they try to destroy structures. Not great. I don't.
Not great. Not great. Not great. Here's
Anywhere
kids.
that any
Here's
of you
kids
live.
talking about their whole families just dying. Just the entire families. And I completely understand why they feel.
اخو سيدي وستي خالي واختي سيدي وستي.
No little boy should be able to articulate it this well. Completely heartbreaking.
I'm sure you could find some heartbreaking stories about what the Hamas did when they were in Israel.
I'm sure you
There
can.
were stories of raping and murdering and kidnapping.
100%. They're probably all fucking lies. Every fucking accusation is an admission.
Well, if these people were treated so badly when they get the chance to go into Israel and run free for a few hours, you think they wouldn't take some liberties? If they'd just been utterly targeted and murdered by Israel for decades, you claim.
Their whole families.
Yeah, wait, and maybe if their building happened to get hit, and also
happened to get hit.
You have no proof that those people were necessarily even killed by Israel. It could have been by Hamas's own rockets falling short, because they have very inaccurate rockets.
Yeah, but look at the amount of damage. It's not those. The amount of damage that's been done is obviously not done by.
No, Israel has
Hamas
targeted buildings. Like when they moved, they were trying to move people.
Look
into a
at what's
smaller
been
area and take
done.
territory.
Look at the amount of damage. It's a fucking wasteland. It's fucking apocalyptic. It literally looks like a fucking post-apocalyptic view.
And how much killing is happening in those areas that have been bombed that they gave evacuation warnings on, and that's why so few people have died.
Man, I would think you're getting paid for Israel yourself.
No, I'm just stating facts. And if the facts were that Israel's
facts too.
If the Israel's trying to kill them all, they'd be dead. Like
They
Israel,
are fucking dead.
They're not.
They're all
largely alive. And are they malnourished? Yeah. And is that Israel's fault? Yeah. I'm not saying Israel's good in their actions either, but having Hamas be on their doorstep is incompatible with Israel's self-defense, and it's not.
It's not their land. Yeah, it's also not their land. They went there initially.
People basically
it was given to them by the Rothschilds
throughout all of history.
And now look at the pattern. Look at the countries that didn't have a Rothschild's bank, and now look at where they stand now. It's a fucking pattern.
Calculations are currently that 2.5 to 3% of Gazans have died during the conflict.
I'm definitely glad that those numbers are for sure accurate.
100%. Probably exaggerated, but yeah.
Could you play the Instagram video that I just sent you?
100%. Do you want to give us a little context?
Share is not gonna work.
I can't hear or read this.
We should be able to read it.
Oh. Yeah, there's no way we're going to read this.
That's unfortunate. It is a bunch of people on this TV show. They're talking to these public figures. And
just celebrating death, the death of children.
Yeah,
the mass death.
We should bomb them. Yes, go kill them. I would like for us to take all of Gaza. Just go kill them.
They see it as their land. They think it's been promised to them 3,000 years ago. They see people who aren't Jews as goyim. It's a cultural thing. Both sides want each other dead, but I see one side as being justified in their resistance. One side is supported by us, the most advanced military superpower in the world, in history, and we're completely obliterating them. And we're doing a pretty great job doing it.
We know America's not dropping bombs.
We doing it through the hand of Israel.
Yeah.
They would not be doing this without us.
And
they would not.
That I don't believe that.
They would not be engaged with Iran.
No.
They're engaged with They're engaged militarily with 5 countries
Israel
right now.
can make plenty of weapons to get rid of Gaza.
Yeah, that they stole from us.
Israel would have gotten stomped out by the rest of the Middle East if we hadn't propped them up for their entire existence.
100%.
Not necessarily true.
100%.
They won wars on the road.
We are definitely disagreeing in that
Yes,
work.
they have.
We're just going to fundamentally disagree on
wars
that.
where America never even had time to support them.
They've never ever helped us, not
Other
once.
than
We've given them so much help. They've never given us any support. They've never given a soldier, not once. Every time, if you're an FBI soldier, you have to go over there and learn about the fucking Holocaust and kiss that wall. Every president has to kiss that fucking wall.
Not every president has kissed the wall.
The last one that didn't got his fucking head blown off.
I doubt that's true.
That is true.
I'll have to
look it up. All right, do it.
We'll throw out a statement there that you should be happy about. March 2nd, Finance Minister Smotrich of Israel said he supported completely halting humanitarian aid to Gaza. He called it justified until Hamas is destroyed or completely surrenders.
100%. Starve everyone. Starve everyone. It's the same logic of there's a school shooter in a building. There's people hiding in the buildings. Bomb the building. Just fuck it. Kill everyone. Kill them all.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We can call everyone a terrorist. Kill them. Kill them all. It's completely justified. Yeah. We can rape them. We can hold up shields. We can rape them behind shields. We can gang rape them for hours and hours. Dude, most fucked up people ever. Fucking terrorists. They deserve what they fucking get.
And
And now I understand why Trump.
They'll go into the banks and borrowing from, in some cases, a fine banker, and in some cases, Shylocks and bad people.
Shylocks, the bad people.
So you're
Trump
gonna
said
have
it
to tell
himself.
people- You're gonna have to tell people what a Shylock is.
Trump said it himself. They're the bankers, the bad bankers, the Shylocks. That's what they are, Levi. The Shylocks. Coming from our president himself, from the horse's mouth. The Shylocks. And then he didn't apologize.
Some of them are
He doubled down, and he backed it up. It's not an offensive saying. It's accurate. Anything else you have to say this evening, Adam?
Well, what I was going to say is that when the finance minister was saying that did constitute like a goal for,
Starve them. Starve the children. More children need to die. 100%. What else? Yeah.
definitely a goal of killing them all until they will surrender. But on the flip side of that,
They're goyim. They're
killing
subhuman.
them
a
until they
genocide
surrender.
at that point when you're trying to starve them completely. But on the flip side of that, that's exactly what the North did in the Civil War when we burned all the fields in the South and tried to cut off all their food supplies.
Deflection.
No, not deflection.
No,
Just
that's a relevant point.
it's just total war. In total war, you cut off the enemy's food supply for the civilians, not just for the military. You take their food away, and they will eventually collapse because you can't fight on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
So is it terrible? Yes, it's terrible. Has it been done in pretty much every total war in history? Yes.
The realpolitik of the world is that every expanding culture has taken over the culture of the people who live there, and it's usually through violent, brutal force.
In every war, we drop 500-pound bombs on cafes. Cool. Super dope. Super, super dope.
Not,
Awesome.
not much
You're
of
not safe at the
history
cafe.
have we
You're not safe
had
at the cafe. Nope.
explosive
Especially if you're
rounds.
having a Hamas meeting.
Especially if you're just a Gaza family, for sure.
Yeah. Every Gaza family was targeted, and that's why 2.5% of them are dead.
For sure. 100%
According
accurate.
to Hamas.
100%
And
Yeah, who has every reason to
zero
exaggerate.
journalists who can make it in there alive to talk to
No,
Hamas.
it's from Hamas's health department where they count the bodies. If
The-
you're
The
curious,
the
Shylock
Department-
bankers are counting it.
You
It's
think
the
that they still
Shylock
have a
bankers.
health
They're
department
counting.
that's a building?
I'm
They don't
sure
have a whole lot of buildings left.
they have buildings left.
They aren't even allowed to live anywhere. They're being funneled into a narrow path where they walk to what's going to be a small portion of Gaza. That is what's happening. All being rallied up and moved because everything else is destroyed anyways. Like, just get the fuck out of here. Go where we want you to go. Don't try to live amongst the rubble.
No, Israel's goal is obviously to have those people who don't get along with them not to be there. Unlike all the Muslims who live. Hold up. Unlike all the Muslims who live in Israel happily, who have their mosque and go to their mosque and live peacefully and aren't part of Hamas. Like, it's not that Israel's just against all the Muslims because they have Muslims to get along with, but the more Iran allied radical Muslims who like to do terrorist type acts, whether it be justified or not, those don't get along with Israel, and those are not going to be tolerated near the borders.
Well, that's clear, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. It's definitely clear.
Glad we can agree on
According
that.
to 2024 numbers, or 2025, 65 to 70% of all buildings have been destroyed, or at least damaged.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome progress, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving forward that great state of Israel. They're going to get it. Thanks, Trump.
Well, right now the ceasefire is holding, so I guess we can be grateful for Trump that people are no longer dying in Iran.
Yeah, they're still dying in Gaza, for sure. 100%. It won't be reported on, though, that's for sure. All right, anything else?
No, I think that wraps it up pretty good.
Perfect.
Elon starting a third fleet.
Oh, yeah, I guess we can cover that briefly.
Yeah.
So-
Are you guys excited?
I think it's so stupid that the entire reason why he's starting this party, allegedly, is because the government's not taking debt seriously, the government's spending too much, and it's going to destroy the economy, which it will. But what's so stupid about this, him starting a new party, which people are saying it's going to bring votes away from the Republicans, which it will, is that we already have a party in America that supports reducing government spending massively. They're called libertarians.
Yeah.
So to start your own political party that is literally just the views of libertarians makes absolutely no sense. It's just a power grab for Elon. And further evidence that it's just a power grab for Elon, he put his own little lackey in charge of the finances. I think his CFO was put in charge of the finances for the new party, who is a Indian, which is a little weird that you have America First Party. I'm not against any races, but it's a little weird if you're going to have an America First Party, you think you kind of do a little more Caucasian, traditional people running it.
That's not allowed
like
anymore.
Foreigners. So putting foreigners in charge of your America First Party just feels just a little weird.
Well, he's a foreigner himself, so.
He is a foreigner himself.
I am excited for Elon to be supporting a third party.
We already have third parties. Why doesn't he just be a libertarian instead of trying to further fracture things?
They won't fucking go anywhere.
Maybe that's because he knows he has no
I
control.
would prefer if he were a libertarian, but yeah, he wants to be able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, like he wanted to come into the White House and dictate his policy as the federal government policy, and maybe somebody punched him in the face over it and let him know he's not that tough.
Yeah, if you have hundreds of billions of dollars, you aren't always the easiest person to get along with. I feel like you'd want control over whatever it was that you were going to spend.
I think maybe he
potentially
should go
billions of
off and
dollars
found his
into.
own country than try to take over America.
It's not taking over America.
He was trying to dictate American federal policy, just one individual billionaire, which I think is a little, it's kind of a little nepotism, kind of a little oligarchy. It's not a good look.
If it was,
and I'm not
fraud
saying
and
he's not.
corruption, then of course, yeah, just get it out.
I don't know. What do you think about it, Dakota?
I don't think that party's gonna go anywhere.
No, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I don't know. Maybe take over his one city in SpaceX Tesla or SpaceX Texas or something. Yeah, I don't know. A political party with one city. That sounds
If it can get more than 10% of the vote, then it'll do weird things to the political system. It'll cause a shakeup, especially over time.
So it's going to be massively more successful than libertarians.
If it can, if it doesn't,
does anyone want it?
I want it.
Okay.
Me. I want it a lot.
But you're an Elon fanboy. There's not many of them left.
I am an absolute hater of the two-party system. I fucking hate it.
Well, we don't have it. We have libertarians. We already have.
We have a two-party system. Basically, everybody that votes considers voting for a third party to be a throwaway vote, which I think is the fucking terrible reason that we have a two-party system. But that is what everybody thinks.
Well, the current incumbent of New York City mayor is an independent, so.
He didn't become mayor by being an independent.
No, but he's an independent now, running in the next election.
So what's your point?
Obviously, you can be an independent and still be. Bernie Sanders was an independent for many years.
And Bernie Sanders never really made it anywhere.
He made it into Congress.
Yeah, there's independents in Congress.
Yeah.
Not the president, though. It's really a two-party system when it comes down to the presidential vote.
But having a ton of parties and, tiered voting is how, like, the socialists got to be in charge of New York City anyways. So having this multi-party tiered system has its drawbacks as well. I think fixing the corruption in the Republican Party is a lot better way of fixing things. Tom Bilyeu has the same opinion, kind of that the Republicans aren't perfect, but the Democrats are literally going to destroy America. So what we need to do is...
The Republicans are literally destroying America if they don't stop the debt. We're running towards a cliff, and if we don't stop running towards the cliff, then we're going to hit the cliff.
I think America is stronger than our currency. The dollar can fail, and America can still be pretty good.
So says every previous world power. Yeah, and then they stop becoming the world power when their currency grows.
I mean, we control the printing of our currency, so we can slow it down. Look at what they do with interest rates. When there's too much currency, they jack up the interest rates until currency leaves the system. It works.
Yeah, interest is now like $1 trillion per year. So our interest is what's eating us alive. If we don't get it to go down, then it just keeps going
Japan's is still 70% higher than ours, and their economy keeps functioning.
Japan is a society where people clean up their own streets and are genuinely pretty good to each other. It's a little bit different, and that's the 2%. You can't look at Japan is the only exception to the rule that currently exists.
China has a ton of debt too. If you added it all up, they might have
130%.
If you include city governments, probably, definitely, yeah. City governments hold a massive amount of debt in China. Massive amount of debt because they sell land they don't even own. But yeah, wrapping up, maybe a new party. Well, it's official. I guess the papers were filed. Elon made a new political party if it ever gets any votes.
So I'll probably vote for it.
Throwaway vote.
Throwaway vote. Yep. All right. Until next week. All right. That was a good one.